Namaskar. I am really honored to be here simply because after a long association with Sambad, I have finally been invited to come and speak. Bhavani ji has been a old friend, and whenever I need something on environmental issues in Odisha, I always called him, and I continue to call him and rely on information from the journalist of Sambad to make my own opinion. I have done that for years, and I'll continue to do that. I knew about, and in some detail, the initiative that Sambad has taken on climate issues. I knew about Climate Panchayat. In fact, it has always fascinated me that how a media organization can do things that some of us should be doing. Okay. As a research organization in environmental field, it would be a dream work for us to actually develop a report on each panchayat on what are the challenges on climate change. Okay. But that is what Sambad has done. My hope is that other media organizations should also pick up. Because the issue of climate change is the issue which is going to remain with us for generations to come. We are just seeing the beginning of climate change. कहते हैं कि ट्रेलर शुरू हुआ है, फिल्म बाकी है. In fact, if you read the news of past 3 months, 4 months, every day there has been some or other extreme weather event in India. Yesterday, landslide has killed about 30 people near Shimla. A day before, there was a landslide in Darjeeling. In fact, continuous rain in Darjeeling. Before that, there was floods in Nepal. In fact, last 6 months, extreme weather event has been normalized. You just look at the data and it is shocking how we have normalized it. In fact, people do not even now read what is happening. It's like it's almost like a normal part of our life. But friends, this normal will very soon become abnormal when we will not be able to bear the cost of climate change. So the point I am making is what Sambad is doing. My hope is that other media organizations can also take that work forward because it is the most important issue for all of us. Apart from poverty, development, those are important issues. But climate is equally important, if not less. But also, climate change is going to upend our development. Any development requires a stable climate. If you look at the history of humanity, the 10,000 years in which human race has progressed, it has happened during the most favorable climate conditions. So if you look at the record of temperature, of rainfall, the last 10,000 years has been the most favorable climate in which humanity has grown. We are 2 lakhs year old species, Homo sapiens. You can trace our history for 2 lakhs years. Okay. But it is only in last 10 years when we have pole vaulted, not leapfrogged as a species. And that has happened, as I am again saying, in the most favorable environmental condition. In fact, you can see rise and fall of civilization with favorable climate condition. When Roman flourished, Mauryas flourished, and Qin dynasty flourished, all together. Because it was the most favorable climatic condition. When Guptas fell, so did the civilization in Europe. So even the fall of civilization on this planet can be correlated with disturbance in climatic condition. Now, all those changes happened because of natural reasons. For the first time, it will happen because of us. Or it is happening because of us, because of our activity. But I also believe we have that capability, the Brown factor, the ability to reverse this. If we all work together, we can reverse this. Now, the topic today is about urbanization. And when Bhavani ji called me and said that we need to discuss the issue of urbanization, I thought it was most important because it was happening in Bhubaneswar. 2 weeks back, we published a report on integrated heat and cooling action plan for Bhubaneswar. Now, what is integrated heat and cooling action plan? In India, we are making heat action plan for every city to save people from heat stroke or heat stress. So, Bhubaneswar has a heat action plan. But we are not realizing that cooling technology, the air conditioning that we are using is actually exacerbating heat itself. So, an air conditioner in this room is going to cool us inside, but will throw hot air outside, which is increasing the temperature outside. So, it's a vicious cycle. Heat increases, you need more cooling. The more cooling you have, the more heat you exhaust. The more heat it happens, the more cooling you require. It's a cycle. It's a vicious cycle. And therefore, if we want to really solve the problem of heat, and Bhubaneswar has a major problem of heat. From February till October, the combination of heat and humidity in the city means that the heat stress is anywhere between yellow to amber to red category. In fact, last year, Bhubaneswar had 17 consecutive days of temperature above 40 degrees Celsius. In fact, one of the worst temperature the city has faced. So, Bhubaneswar has a problem of heat, but Odisha in general has a problem of extreme weather events. Whether it is heat or extreme rainfall or cyclone, Odisha is at the center of climate impacts. So, when he said that I need to speak about urbanization, I thought it was most apt because our data on urbanization in Odisha is also quite poor, by the way. We only have data of 2011 census which says that urban population in Odisha is about 18%. I am hoping with the new census data that will come, I am quite sure that we are now talking about 25–30% urban population. Okay, that will be there for Odisha, because I believe that last 10–15 years urbanization has been quite rapid in this state. So, we are waiting for the new census data to understand how much urbanization has happened in the states. Now, what are the urban challenges? I think the first challenge I have already spoken about, the challenge of rapid urbanization. Urbanization is a historical inevitability. People, every civilization if you take, they flourish around their cities. And therefore, urbanization will happen. Urbanization will happen, more people will live in cities, more businesses will be attracted to cities, cities will take more land, more water, more resources, because that is where economic activity will take place. Okay. So, first, urbanization will happen rapidly in India. In fact, I believe by 2050, we will add one more United States in Indian cities. Maybe we will increase our urban population by about 350 million maybe in next 10 to 15 years. By 2040, India's urban population could be about 600 million. Let's see. Again, all this is based on 2011 census. We do not know what is the correct urban figure right now. But certainly, we will add at least one more United States in next 15–20 years. Which means that India will double its urban stock. We will need more buildings, we will need more roads and flyovers and parking space, everything. Now, considering this inevitability, we have to think about urbanization. How do we design our cities? Before coming to this meeting, I was talking to Utpal, and I was telling him that we make master plan in India, but there is no modeling ever done on master plan. Even with cutting edge computer technology that we have, no one does a modeling on master plan to understand that if I am building this city, what will happen to its air quality? What will happen to runoff? what will happen to flooding? What will happen to heat? No one, so we plan a city without understanding the outcome of that planning. And it is universally true in India. I was in Singapore and we partner with something called as ETS Singapore. It's a research institution in Singapore which is working in Singapore, and we have partnered with them to do the integrated heat and cooling action plan for Bhubaneswar. Singapore has a program called a city in nature. So Singapore is designing itself as a city which is within nature. It is the most modern city one can think about. 50% of city land is utilized to harvest rainwater, which is the most traditional technology. Okay. About 40% of surface area of Singapore is green. About 60% of population of Singapore uses public transport, minimum, on regular basis. Okay. Now think about the most modern city in the world, and Singapore will be the most modern city. It has adopted the most modern technology as well as the most traditional practice. Okay. Rainwater harvesting. And Singapore has to do rainwater harvesting because it doesn't have source of fresh water. Okay. So it is possible to do cities, design city, have the most modern living condition, and still be in harmony with nature. I'm not talking theory here. Okay. I'm talking something which we all can go and see and experience. Okay. In fact, Singapore now, if the greening in Singapore was not there, Singapore temperature would have been about 3 degrees higher than what it is today. So with greening itself, the city has reduced its surface temperature by about 3 degrees. Think what we do in Bhubaneswar then. Bhubaneswar has a practice of putting black coal tar on roof to save houses from seepage. This is the most common practice in Bhubaneswar. The moment you put a black topping on your roof, you are making your house a hothouse. In fact, our modeling study shows that Bhubaneswar increases its temperature by about half a degree more temperature because of the practice of black roof topping that the city does. So, with some common sense, better planning, better modeling, better practices, we can redesign our cities to live in harmony with nature. That is the point I am trying to make. Okay. We need not have city which gets flooded every rainfall. In fact, yesterday, I almost missed my flight because I was in Gurugram and it rained, and Gurugram becomes a pond even if it rains 10 millimeter. Okay. So in fact, I almost missed my flight yesterday because of a moderate rainfall that happened in that city. It need not be the case. So we need to start thinking about the way we are designing our cities, the way we want to live. Think about the government housing programs. In fact, I always give this example. Government is always in a hurry. Okay. That's fine because there's a political cycle. And you want to build as many houses as possible and give it to the poor. But those houses are useless houses. They are made with concrete and with such poor ventilation that they are almost like hothouse. You can't stay in that house if you don't have air conditioning, and poor cannot afford air conditioning. So most of the economically weaker section house, whether it is under Pradhan Mantri Yojana or Mukhyamantri Yojana, whatever Yojana you see, are the most environmentally unfriendly and human unfriendly house you can think about. Do we need to do that? The answer is no. In fact, with the same cost, we can make much more comfortable houses. But again, that will not fall in the election cycle. So I think there are a lot of things that we can do to make our houses better, to make our cities better, most importantly, to make our lives better. Okay. And it is doable, and we can do it. Let me end by saying that we have been working in Odisha for the past 5 years, and I am very optimistic about the state. Okay, we work in many states. Odisha is one of them, and my sense of optimism has grown over the years for Odisha. And I'm saying this because of the response I receive from general people, Aam Janta, when I meet them. Okay. And yeah, you can clap. It's about, yeah. I'm very optimistic because people understand development and environment in this state better than anywhere else. In fact, I have not met anyone who does not understand heat wave, climatic impact, cyclone, the relationship with nature. This is something that is a normal conversation. People may not know it is climate change, but it is something that Odisha is experiencing, and people are aware about it. And they want answers. They want solutions. So I'm very optimistic about the state. I think the state also has ability to innovate. And I have seen that, the way some of the innovation is happening in the state. I will encourage all of you to go and see World Skill Center. Okay? One of the finest center in skilling is right in the middle of Bhubaneswar, World Skilling Center. There's nothing like that in India, by the way. Okay? It is one of the best that you have. So there is ability in the state and its people to innovate. There is optimism. Odisha was also the first state to actually develop a state action plan on climate change, by the way. It was also the first state to convert its environment department into environment and climate change department. Okay? So there is a legacy of work of about 1.5 decades that Odisha has. So I am very optimistic with collective will of the people, with partnership with great institutions. The state has a bright future. I wish you all the best. I wish Sambad all the best. Thank you very much. Jai Jagannath, Jai Odisha, Jai Hind.